Hey you guys, my name is Mara Sullivan and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys a few things that I have learned about money from working for people that have a lot of it. And I think that as someone who did not grow up with a ton of money, my mom was a single parent. She raised me 100% on her own. She did not have any support from my dad or from anyone else. My mom raised me 100% independently. And so I did not have a lot growing up. I had everything I needed, but I didn't always have everything that I wanted. And, I grew up feeling like everyone else in my life had more than me, and because they did, it wasn't a feeling, they actually did. But as I got older, I started to realize that just because people have money does not mean that they're better than me. It doesn't mean that you know it doesn't mean that I can't that there's it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with me. It doesn't mean that I can't get it too. And so as I got a little older, I kind of switched the mentality from, the people who have money are better than me and I can't, there's like something wrong with me or something wrong with my family that, we don't have the same things. I switched that from they have it, that means that it's possible to get it. That means I can get it too. So let me figure out what I need to do to, get what they have, because obviously it's possible. And so I kind of had to switch that mentality in my head. And so I have had to learn, from the people who had it. And so I think that, before I even get into the tips, if you are someone who you feel like is struggling financially, or feel like you have a lack mindset, or, feel like you have poor people's mentality, I think that one of the first things you can do is to flip that switch from the people who do have it. They're not bad, most of them are not. Um, there's nothing wrong with you. Money is, in fact, not the root of all evil. That scripture actually says the love of money is the root of all evil, not that money itself is the root of all evil, the love of it. So I think that when you just get greedy, or if you love it too much. Loving too much of anything is not a good thing. And so, same thing applies to money. Like, if you just get obsessive with it and, you know, you can't live without it, it's like a drug, or just get too greedy, I think that's when it becomes like a quote unquote sin, or like you start, getting into bad habits with it. But money itself is not bad. Money is just another word for freedom, And so, I think right off the bat, you got to switch the mentality from they have it, that means I can't have it, to they have it, that means that it's possible for me to get it too. You gotta, automatically just make that mindset shift. And that's something that I did I would say pretty young. Like I said, I didn't grow up with much. And I think I'm going to do a separate video on the things like how growing up, kind of in poverty, or like on the very, very low end of middle class, how that actually has benefited me, because you learn to get creative when you don't have money. Okay? Like, comment down below. Like, trust me, you learn how to get real creative when you do not have money. And there's so many different things that I've learned, from both sides, from not having a lot and from having a lot. And so, in today's video, like I said, I'm going to be talking about the things that I have learned from wealthy families. And I think, I've been nannying professionally for about 5-6 years, since I graduated college in 2019. But I've been babysitting since I was a teenager. I think that's most of our like first jobs, is babysitting. I feel like everyone babysits at some point in their life, but like I said, I've been nannying professionally since I got out of college. And so I've worked for so many, wealthy families and families that have a lot. And it's one of the jobs that has actually paid me the most, which is so crazy, because it's so easy to think that like service jobs like nannying or cleaning or jobs like that don't really pay a lot. But I've made more nannying than anything. And I love kids. I just knew I never wanted to be in a classroom, because my mom was a school teacher and I've seen how hard that job is. Never wanted it, but I have always wanted to work with children. And so nannying has kind of been like my sweet spot, where I love babies and I get to make, a really decent living. And so, yeah, I've just learned a lot from being in these people's homes. I have learned a lot, just from seeing how they spend money. Like I said, I'm in their houses. I get to see what they spend their money on. I get to see how they spend it. I get to see how they talk about money, which I think is, I'm actually just going to jump into the tips right now. The first thing that these affluent people do is they talk about money. I think a lot of us who grow up, especially, hate to be stereotypical, but um, black families, it's kind of like a hush hush situation a lot of times when it comes to money. And I think a lot of us are scared to talk about it, especially those of us who grew up without a lot of it. And a lot of these families, I remember one family I was working for, like a pipe had burst or something had happened, like a water plumbing situation in the basement. And this is someone that I know like has a lot, and one, I love the way that they communicate. The dad like immediately called his wife and was like, "Hey, this is how much it's going to cost," and was very upfront and just open. And even doing something that simple to me was like, wow, because I know a lot of people who just don't talk about money at all, and when something is like a major cost, don't even say that out loud. Like, I just, even that within itself was like huge. And he was really calculating, like, this is this many hundreds of dollars, and I like know that this is someone who has the cash like on hand, but the fact that he was very serious about talking about it, and this is how much it's going to cost, and this is what we need to do, we need to move this here. um it taught me that the people who have a lot of money still count every penny. A lot of them do. And it's easy to look at people. And I always think about that Michael Jackson video, which I realized today that he actually didn't get all that stuff. But there's a video of Michael Jackson where he's walking in a store. It's like an antique store. And he's like, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. And it was like, I remember watching that video as a kid. And I'm like, dang, like, I can't even imagine. And these were like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of pieces that he was picking out. And I remember going back and seeing like that same thing and reading that like he actually didn't get all that stuff. But I'm like, dang, like to not even have to worry about price tags is crazy, And I realize now a lot of, wealthy, affluent people do still look at price tags. They care very much about how much things cost. And um, they still account for every penny. And, they might not know their net worth right up to the T. I love, um, I was watching Bill Maher and Martin Short, like the comedian. Both of them are comedians. If you haven't seen that, go watch Club Random. Specifically, Bill Maher's or Maher. I never know how to say his last name. Bill Maher, I think is how you say his name. His episode with Martin Short on it, and Martin Short asks him like, "How much are you worth?" Because Martin Short grew up with a lot of money and Bill Maher did not, and so that episode is so good to hear both of them talk about money because they both now have it, obviously. Um, and Bill was saying that like when he was in his 20s and when he was poor, like he knew how much he had, like right down to the penny. He could tell you the cent of how much he had and how much he was worth. He's like, but now, he really doesn't know. He just knows he has, like he's pretty much a good set for life. Um, but people still like count they still want to make sure that like they know where every penny is going. And so I think that is the number one thing that I've learned from these families is that they still know where every cent is going. They don't just stop paying attention. Well, some of them do stop paying attention to what they're spending just because they know they have a lot of money. But the majority of them still care very much and still make sure that they have some kind of budget and that every penny is still being accounted for. I think it's even more important to know where your money is going when you have a lot of it. Even more important than when you don't have a lot of it, because the more you make, the more that you're going to be what's it called, like influenced, or the more you're going to want to spend. That's where the term lifestyle inflation comes in, is that the more you make, the more you want to spend. And I think that in order to prevent that from happening, you have to still know where your money is going, even, you know, you are making more of it. So that's like the first thing that I would say is definitely I've learned from them that everything is still accounted for. Every penny is still, for the most part, accounted for. They can tell you where their money is going at any given time. And so it's still important to keep track of your finances as you grow, as you make more, as you know, progress in on your financial journey. The second thing is to the second thing is that most of the families that I work for and most, you know, people who have money that I know never pay full price for anything. And I mean, anything. I think that the idea of like couponing and finding deals and going to the clearance rack is something that a lot of us think of as like something that people who don't have a lot of money do, but people who do have a lot of money still do that. You know, I remember seeing Kathy Hilton on a show. It was probably Housewives. I don't remember what show it was, but she is in like a boutique with, you know, a lot of expensive stuff, and she's bargaining with the sales associate to get a lower deal. And there are people who might look down on her for that because obviously she has more money than she'll ever spend in a lifetime. Like the Hilton family is beyond what any of us, most of us, can comprehend of being well off in like the most, like in every sense of the phrase being well off. They are well off. But I don't think what most of us realize is that the Hiltons and these very prominent families are well off because they're not spending everything that they're making. And so, duh, like it makes sense when you kind of sit back and think about it. It's like, oh, they have so much money because they're not spending it. Hello? Like, and I think that, not to be stereotypical, but a lot of black families or black people in general, we do so much like material stuff and gotta have it the latest and keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing, that we don't realize that the people who actually have the money are not spending it, are not spending it. Like they're being gifted a lot, especially the material stuff. A lot of like celebrities and you know, whoever it might be that you look up to, a lot of things that you see them wearing and buying, promoting, they're not buying it. You know, they are being gifted a lot of major brand stuff. They're being paid to wear a lot of that stuff. Um, and the things that they are paying for, a lot of times they're not paying full price for it. And so that is like another major thing that I've learned. And just going back to the families that I've worked for, they do not pay full price for anything. A lot of them really do shop around for the lowest deals on everything, especially cars and especially real estate. They make sure that they are getting the best deals on those areas, and they're really not spending a lot on the material things. Um, Bays is like one of like the major like luggage brands, and I remember talking to one of the moms that I work for. I kind of like have my own nanny and business going on because I work for multiple different families. But one of the moms I work for, she's like, oh yeah, like I told her, like she was showing, I saw like her Bays bag because they were traveling, or what I thought was a Bays bag, and she was like, no, that's a dupe from Amazon, girl. And I was like, oh, and it's like dang near the exact same bag. Obviously, I'm not gonna say don't, you know, I don't promote knockoffs on this channel, but I'm saying like, again, they don't pay full price for everything, and it was kind of the same bag. And I was like, oh, that's a base bag. I love Shay Mitchell. And she was like, oh yeah, that's not even the real thing. Like, no, that's a dupe. Perfect quality. Perfect quality. Like and this is, you know, a very wealthy family, you know, and so they are not spending everything that they're making. They're not spending the majority of what they're making. You know, even me, they invest in things that will buy them back more time. Having a nanny for a lot of the families I work for is buying them back more time. That is an investment for them. That's something that is worth the money, you know, and they make sure that in order to this is another tip, which I'll probably just go ahead and get into now, but they are investing not just in the big stuff like real estate, houses, you know, stuff like that. They are investing in their time and in their health. They belong to very what's it called? I guess like affluent, more like upscale gyms because they're investing in their health. I work for one family that only organic, all organic food. Um, but they're buying it. This is where I learned to shop at Aldi. They're buying all their food from. I don't know if you guys have Aldi like in your area, but if you do, Aldi has every organic brand of food you could possibly want, pretty much, and they're buying their food, organic food, at very low cost places. They're not shopping at Whole Foods every day. They're not shopping at, even though Trader Joe's isn't expensive. They're not shopping at Trader Joe's every day. They're shopping at regular, basic, inexpensive grocery stores, and they're buying high quality food, and so you don't have to shop at the bougie places, the Erewhons of the world. You don't have to shop at those places um, to be wealthy. Like it doesn't. You don't need that kind of stuff. Like you can buy really high quality food at very affordable prices from very, for lack of better words, cheaper stores. Um, and so I think that, it's so easy to look at these people and to think that they are buying top of the line and, everything that they own cost $1 million. It does not. The big stuff cost them a lot. To have, a nanny is costing them, to have a big house is costing them, but those are investments. You know what I mean? To pay for gym memberships is costing them. Like they are not spending on a lot of material things. They're spending on the things that really are important. Health and time are the most important things. You cannot buy back more time. That is the number one thing that wealthy people know. If they can figure out a way to get more time and to like use more time to their advantage, that's what the majority of them are spending on. They don't care about Jordans. They do not care about Hermes bags. Most of them don't. They really do not. They care about the important stuff. And so that is a key thing. They're not paying full price for most things. So if you are doing that, see how you can get like whatever you are buying at a discount. um Skincare, um food, clothes. They're not paying full price for much. They're still shopping at Walmart. A lot of families that I know that have a lot of money shop at Walmart and Target. They're not going to Chanel every single day. Like they're just not. And I think it's so funny to me because I know, people who complain about not having money and they're shopping at the designer stores. It's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And then I'm seeing the people who do have quite a bit shopping at Target and Walmart. That says a lot. There is a lot to be said um, for living below your means. Live below your means. I like it. It's just such a game changer when you realize the people who have money have it because they're not spending it. Like duh. It's so funny to me that um, a lot of people just don't realize that. Like they're not spending it. And I love when I see things like Kathy Hilton bargaining for a deal, and like the families I work for still, shopping around at different grocery stores for the lowest prices on things, because it makes me realize that they have it because they're not spending it. Most of it. They're not spending most of it. And they're investing in the things that really matter. Investing in your health and wealth. Material things don't matter. Oh, something else that might surprise you guys. I've learned from working for these families. A lot of them have really, big jobs, good jobs. Renting is not the devil. I think we have been taught, I don't know, and I get it because we've been taught that renting is throwing our money away. And I get that because when you buy a mortgage, you are paying to own. I understand that. And yes, there is a reason why real estate is basically the number one investment anyone can do. I understand that. However, renting is not the devil. There are a lot of things to being a homeowner that people are not talking about. You do not get maintenance for free. It's not included, I should say. Um, you have to do what works for you. A lot of really big families, I worked for a family who worked for AIG, major insurance company, very, successful, over six figures family. They were living in an apartment. And a lot of times they're doing this because they are saving up for a home, but and they're also, a lot of them are paying for flexibility. When you have a home, you're kind of tied to it. You're more locked in. And depending on your lifestyle, your goals, sometimes it's okay to rent. I currently am renting right now. Um, and it's not because I don't want, one is just me, and so I kind of don't need a whole house right now, and two, it just makes more sense for me to rent than to buy a home because I'm not sure if I want to stay in the area that I'm in, for a long period of time. But said all that to say, I've worked for surgeons, I've worked for doctors who rent. Renting is not the devil. Say it with me. Renting is not the devil. Sometimes owning a home is more of a financial burden than renting is. And I know a lot of unhappy homeowners. There was one of my favorite influencers. I won't say her name, but lives in Dallas, moved from LA to Dallas, bought her home. She was not told, the issues that her home had. It was just more of a toll than she realized it would be. And she said she wished that she had waited. And I think a lot of times people jump in to buying a home because they're told so much that renting is bad for you. If you are buying, just please, please, please make sure that you know what you are getting yourself into. Yes, buying is, as we all know, it is universally known, home ownership is extremely important, especially if you are building wealth. We all know that. No one is going to argue that point. However, just make sure that you know what you are getting yourself into when you do, because it is not easier. It is actually harder to own a home than it is to rent. You have so much more responsibility. You are paying for so much more. Water heater breaks, you are paying to fix that. Plumbing goes bad, you are paying to fix that. You are not calling maintenance. Like there are so many. It is much more expensive to own a home than it is to rent most of the time. Just when it comes to like getting things fixed and such. You have to do what makes sense for you, for where you are in your life, and things like that. Neither one is bad. It really is about where you are in your life and what makes the most sense, and making sure that you do your research. Last one I'll mention here is basically something that ties into everything that I've said, and that is think long term. A lot of the people, that I've worked for are really financial planning. And I think, especially in today's culture, it's so easy to get caught up in impulse. Like impulse buying has never been easier before than it is today. Like it is so easy to just buy because we see it. It's one of the reasons why I do not go in a store anymore. I have everything delivered, because when I go, I actually spend more when I go to stores than I do when I have everything delivered. Because when I go in a store, I spend more because I see it. Um, and I get it. It's also very easy to impulse buy if you are on Amazon every day, because they're also just seeing things. It's so much easier. It's just easier to spend money today than it has ever been before. Um, but really think long term. A lot of these families obviously, I'm nannying for them, and so they have children. They are setting themselves up and their children up for financial success. So you really have to, even if you are single, even if you don't plan to have children, um, you have to think long term about your money. Retirement, for most of us, I'm Gen Z, I'm 26. Retirement for most of us is going to look very different than it looks for our parents and grandparents. What are you saving? What are you saving? How are you saving? Um, really make sure that you are looking at your retirement plans. I know if you're young, that sounds crazy. I started saving for retirement when I got my first job at 18. And so you have to really make sure that you are setting yourself up for your future, not just for retirement, but where you want to be in the next few years. I'm not someone who is really big on like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? I've learned that life changes just like that in the blink of an eye. It's hard to do that, if we're being honest. And it's not realistic for a lot of people to do that. But you have to have some kind of idea about where your money is going, how you plan to make it. Do you see yourself at your job, the job that you have? And also remember that, like, if you want change, it's not just going to happen like without you doing anything, you know? I know that creating content makes me happy and it's something I want to do long term. And so it's something that I have to commit my time to in order to be able to do more of it. And so, you really have to think about your future. And the life you want to live is going to be, determined by mostly determined by your ability to live it. So, how do you plan on going about um, the financial part? And especially as a woman, you know, um, gender roles have changed very dramatically in the last few years. Most of us have to work. And so you really have to think about what that looks like for you. And I am a domestic woman at heart. I want to stay in my house. Okay? I want to cook. I want to clean. I want to iron my man's clothes. I know that that's, not as socially acceptable to say today, but I am a domestic woman at heart. I like doing laundry. I like baking. Like I would not mind waking up every day and staying in my house. It's not that sounds perfect to me. And I understand that, you know, the new wave of women can do everything men can do. Yes, I get it. I know it because I'm living it. I am a strong, independent woman. I'm a strong, independent black woman who is, providing for herself, making the money, taking the trips, doing the things. But at my heart, like at my core, I'm a housewife. Okay, I am a housewife. So you really have. So I've had to figure out how to have my housewife life, but still being able to provide for myself. Because real talk, a lot of men today, I have my stuff together more than they do. And I'm not talking about men my age, I'm talking about men a lot older as well. Okay? So it really is it's slim pickings out here, you guys. So right now I am, my I was about to say I am my husband, but that sounds weird. But you guys know what I mean. I am my like sole provider. Um and I love it. I love the confidence that has given me. I love the challenge. I am up for the challenge of taking care of myself. I love taking care of myself, but like I said, at my heart, I'm a housewife, okay? I just want to get up and wear my apron. I do want to do this. I am an artist at heart as well. Like I just love creating. I want to write, I want to do my podcast, I want to shoot videos but I want to I love being in my house. I have no desire to climb a corporate ladder. I've never been that kind of girly. I've never been like an office girly. Um Nothing wrong with those of you guys who do. It's just not for me. And so again, you just have to think about, what do you want your future to look like? What do you want your overall life to look like? And what do you want out of life? And once you do that, it's easier to put the financial plans in place to get that. And so, I'm very big on paying your dues. I'm very big on saying no to things now so that I can say yes to things like staying in my house later. you know, in my mind, I'm already retired. I'm already living my retired life. I'm traveling when I want. I am doing what I want when I want. Um, right now, obviously, I still have to work every single day, but I am finding little ways every day to live my housewife, retired grandma life, because that is, again, who I am at my core. I'm a housewife, I'm a retired 80-year-old grandma, and I am an artist. Those are like who I am, my three biggest personality traits. That is who I am. So you have to figure out, like, again, who you are, plan for your future. Stop just impulsive spending. Stop just spending on the now. Stop just spending on things because someone else has it and you think it looks cool. You don't even really want it. You're just buying it because you think it's going to look cool. Stop doing that, please. Figure out what it is that makes you happy, what you like to spend your money on, and live according to that. Also learn how to tell yourself no. The sooner you learn how to tell yourself no, the easier it'll be in your future, financially. Learn how to tell yourself no now, so that, like I said, once you do get more money, once you do start to make more, have more, get in a relationship where maybe you'll be supported financially so that you have more freedom, you'll know what to do, and, like, as you go up. And so those are the main things that I have learned from wealthy families. Like I said, these are things that are probably common sense to a lot of people, but I think some of these things, like not not paying full price for anything, not really caring about a lot of material stuff, um, things like that might be things that do surprise people about how a lot of wealthy people live. Obviously, these are not blanket statements. Like, all rich people do not live like that, but a lot of them do, and you would be surprised how many of them really do live below their means, and that is the reason why they have the portfolios that they do. And so I hope that you guys got at least one takeaway from this video. If you did, let me know down below. Let me know what you have learned on your financial journey, or from people, in your circle, or just from studying wealthy people, things that you might have learned from books, shows, anything financial. Let me know down below in the comments. We can share with each other. And do not forget to subscribe. Make sure your notifications are on so that you do not miss any uploads from me. Come check me out on Instagram. It is at Thoughts by Mara. Also check out my podcast at Thoughts by Mara, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.